Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, recently issued a statement paying tribute to his late mother. Queen Elizabeth II addressed her as Mommy, Mother, and Your Majesty, expressing his deep respect and gratitude for the honor and privilege of serving her. After years of maintaining silence, Prince Andrew has finally chosen to share his perspective, revealing surprising and emotional details that have left many people stunned. His decision to speak up has sparked a wave of curiosity and raised numerous questions about him and the royal family. The revelation has prompted inquiries into why he waited so long to address these matters and what implications it holds for the royal family going forward. This significant development has led to a re-evaluation of the British royal family and its long-standing traditions, bringing to light a side that is not always visible to the public. Amidst the speculation surrounding Queen Elizabeth II's final wishes, the announcement of the reading of her will has captivated the nation, stirring anticipation about potential personal revelations that may be unveiled. The choice of Prince Andrew to read the will has come as a surprise to many, as it deviates from the expected roles of the future monarch or other senior members of the royal family. The decision to entrust this responsibility to Prince Andrew has prompted a re-examination of his role within the royal family and its implications. In recent years, there have been several major hits to his public profile, and most of the time, his name has been in the news for reasons that made the palace uncomfortable. The announcement that he would be the one to read Queen Elizabeth II's final will shocked almost everyone, both inside the palace and those watching from the outside. Some wondered if it was a final gesture of trust, or even an attempt to pull him back into the fold after everything that had happened. As the day arrived for the will to be read, there was a noticeable shift in mood, with the usually calm and polished palace carrying a heavier silence. The Queen's passing had left behind not just an emotional gap, but also the responsibility to carry out her last wishes with dignity. Prince Andrew stood at the center of it all, carrying the weight of the Queen's trust and the public's judgment, in a moment filled with tension for him and the rest of the family. The royal family, known for being composed even in the most personal moments, now had to face a decision made by their matriarch and hear it from someone who, until recently, many thought would never hold such a serious responsibility again. When Prince Andrew began to speak, the room was quiet, as the Queen's will was not just a legal document, but also a message and a final chapter written in her own way. It started to become clear that this document would not follow every royal tradition, with some decisions expected and others taking everyone by surprise. Windsor Castle, one of the most iconic royal residences, was passed down to King Charles, which made sense to many due to its symbolic power and deep roots in royal history. The Queen's decision regarding Balmoral Estate, one of her favorite places where she felt most at peace, surprised everyone as it did not go to the family member many anticipated. Queen Elizabeth II chose to have Balmoral shared among the entire family, a decision that sent shockwaves through royal circles and was not just about property, but also reflected values. In her final will, she made it clear that she wanted her family to stay together, recognizing the tension and cracks that had formed in recent years, the public arguments and the family drifting apart. By dividing Balmoral equally, the Queen aimed to send a message to her family emphasizing the importance of learning to share and coming back together for each other rather than solely for the crown. This decision was seen by many as revolutionary, as it deviated from the traditional linear structure of the royal family, where property and power typically move in one direction from king to heir and so on. Queen Elizabeth II also surprised many by giving Princess Anne the Sandringham estate, a gesture of deep respect and gratitude for Anne's unwavering commitment and loyalty to the royal family over the years. Similarly, Prince Edward received Bagshot Park, a decision based on his consistent presence and loyalty within the family, reinforcing his position as a key member of the royal circle. The Queen's thoughtfulness extended to personal items, such as gifting Catherine, Princess of Wales, the Vladimir tiara, which held significant historical and symbolic value, representing the passing down of legacy and Catherine's future role as queen. Consort. Despite the distance, Queen Elizabeth II did not forget Prince Harry, leaving him two important items: a silver box that once belonged to King George V, serving as a reminder of roots and heritage, and King George V's ceremonial sword, symbolizing duty and heritage. The bequests made by the Queen sparked a significant amount of surprise and speculation within the royal family, particularly catching the attention of Prince William. Amidst the public tensions between the royal family and Prince Harry, these gifts were seen as a clear indication of the Queen's continued care and concern for him, as well as her desire for him to maintain a connection to his roots and his place within the family's history. Even the Queen's grandchildren, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, were recipients of what she referred to as treasures of our family, along with her personal insights and knowledge. The specific meanings behind these phrases remain unknown, yet they undoubtedly carry deeper significance, possibly representing a means of imparting wisdom rather than just material possessions. Notably, a handwritten letter was bequeathed to Prince Louis, a gesture that resonated deeply as a heartfelt expression of love and thoughtfulness from a grandmother to her young grandson. Similarly, King Charles received access to the Queen's private collection, including letters, diaries, and personal writings, not for the mere preservation of history, but for the purpose of gaining understanding and fostering personal growth. The Queen's will, unveiled through the reading, transcended a simple distribution of assets, serving as a poignant reflection of her voice and intentions, with each decision carrying a profound message. Through her bequests, the Queen appeared to be advocating for unity, peace, and the preservation of values within the royal family, as well as for these principles to guide the future of the monarchy. The reactions within the family varied, with some members calmly accepting the will, while others seemed to be still processing its implications, reflecting the complex emotions stirred by its contents. Externally, the public's response was marked by both admiration for the Queen's wisdom and curiosity, as her will provided an unprecedented glimpse into her innermost thoughts and feelings. Ultimately, the Queen's will went beyond resolving legal matters, serving as a powerful catalyst that reshaped the public discourse surrounding the royal family once it was publicly disclosed. Previously, discussions only revolved around who received what, but now they are delving into the reasons behind the choices and the implications for the future. This leads us to Prince Andrew, who, after being pushed away from the limelight, found himself reading the Queen's final message, sparking curiosity about what this might mean for his future. The late Queen's will offered a glimpse into her heart, but what follows uncovers something much more personal: Prince Andrew's fall from grace. To comprehend the surprising decision of the late Queen to choose Prince Andrew to read her will, it's essential to examine Andrew's past and the reasons behind the shock it caused. Andrew's transition from a senior working royal to being stripped of most public duties did not happen overnight. It was shaped by a scandal that reverberated not only through the palace but across the globe. At the core of this scandal was his association with the infamous Jeffrey Epstein, which began in the late 1990s through their mutual connection, Ghislaine Maxwell. Their friendship evolved over time, frequently being seen together at events and social gatherings, raising concerns due to Epstein's questionable actions, which eventually came to light. Despite Epstein's 2008 conviction, Andrew continued his association with him, a decision that drew immense criticism and scrutiny, extending beyond simply being friends with someone with a troubled past. Andrew, who represented the UK as a trade envoy and held major royal duties, chose to visit Epstein at his New York mansion after the conviction. Photos of him walking in Central Park with Epstein in 2010 later became some of the most discussed and damaging images tied to his name. There were also photos of him at Epstein's homes with Epstein's friends, and eventually photos that brought everything crashing down. Even before things exploded in the media, there were warning signs within royal and political circles about the relationship between Andrew and Epstein. Critics deemed the relationship irresponsible, especially given Epstein's criminal history. Rumors circulated that Epstein had helped Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, pay off debts, adding more layers to the controversy. Despite the warning signs and controversies, the friendship between Andrew and Epstein continued for some time. However, everything changed in 2019 when Epstein was rearrested on new charges of trafficking involving minors, shining a spotlight on everyone close to him, including Prince Andrew. Allegations against Prince Andrew became clear, specific, and deeply serious, particularly from Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's accusers. Giuffre claimed that she had been trafficked by Epstein and forced to have encounters with Prince Andrew when she was underage in London, New York, and Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, known as Little St. James. One of the most discussed claims involved a night in London at Ghislaine Maxwell's home, where Andrew was introduced to Giuffre, and they went out dancing at a nightclub, with a photograph of Andrew with his arm around her waist becoming widely circulated. Despite the photo and claims, Andrew denied remembering the night or the photo. Johanna Zoberg, another woman, came forward with claims involving Prince Andrew, adding to the larger picture of questionable behavior within Epstein's circle. In response to growing public pressure, Prince Andrew surprised many by agreeing to participate in a televised interview with the BBC's Newsnight program in November 2019. Andrew, to explain his side of the story, instead turned out to be one of the most damaging interviews ever given by a member of the royal family. During the interview, Prince Andrew made statements that caused confusion and disbelief, including denying knowledge of Virginia Giuffre and claiming a medical condition prevented him from sweating, directly challenging part of her story. His lack of emotional connection to the seriousness of the situation and his choice of words led to a powerful backlash from the public, with many describing the interview as a disaster. Following the interview, the pressure on Buckingham Palace grew stronger, leading to Prince Andrew's announcement, with the Queen's permission, that he would be stepping back from public duties for the foreseeable future in November 2019. This move, approved by the Queen herself, was aimed at containing the damage and protecting the Crown's image. Subsequently, in January 2022, after a U.S. judge ruled that Virginia Giuffre's civil lawsuit against Prince Andrew could proceed, Buckingham Palace made another major announcement. On January 13, 2022, the palace confirmed that the Duke of York's military affiliations and royal patronages had been returned to the Queen. As a result, he would no longer hold those roles and would also stop using the title His Royal Highness in any official capacity. This significant development meant that Prince Andrew was now cut off from his most important royal responsibilities. These changes were made following discussions with King Charles and Prince William, indicating the seriousness of the situation. The royal family's decision to remove his military affiliations and royal patronages showed a clear change in his status and had real consequences. Furthermore, many organizations connected to Andrew, such as charities, universities, and businesses, publicly cut ties with him, removing his name from websites and ending official partnerships. These actions sent a strong message that his fall from grace was not just symbolic, but had tangible effects. Subsequently, public opinion continued to shift, and Prince Andrew's once respected royal career became tainted by scandal. His role in the family changed, his duties ended, and his previously well-guarded reputation was now beyond repair. Despite these developments, his unexpected presence at the reading of the Queen's will came as a surprise, leaving questions about whether it signified forgiveness or simply a mother's gesture. The scandal surrounding Epstein was not an isolated incident, but rather the beginning of a longer story that would reveal more about how Prince Andrew handled power, responsibility, and public judgment. This scandal marked a significant chapter in Prince Andrew's public life, revealing uncomfortable truths and a pattern of controversies and fallouts that consistently shadowed him, leading to enduring isolation. Prince Andrew's departure from public life was ultimately triggered by the Epstein scandal, but it was just one part of a more complex narrative. His withdrawal from public life was not solely due to the Epstein scandal. It was the culmination of a series of questionable decisions, troubling associations, and a deteriorating reputation over time. For over a decade, Prince Andrew held the role of the UK's special representative for international trade and investment, aiming to facilitate connections for British businesses abroad and represent the Crown in economic matters. However, his approach to the position faced criticism as he was observed associating with influential figures in countries like Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, Libya, and Turkmenistan, many of which had significant human rights issues. This led to accusations of cronyism and misuse of his royal status to advance certain deals while forming inappropriate personal connections. Reports, including leaked diplomatic cables, suggested that he may have exerted pressure on British investigators to halt anti-corruption efforts that could have affected his overseas contacts. This raised concerns about his conduct, portraying him more as a private broker than a public servant, a sentiment echoed in an unusual property sale involving his former home, Sunning Hill Park. The sale, in 2007, to a businessman linked to Kazakhstan's ruling family for £3 million over the asking price, despite the property being on the market for years, drew significant media attention and raised questions about transparency and potential ties to his government or personal connections. Additionally, attention was drawn to his financial affairs as he continued to reside in the costly royal lodge, despite stepping back from royal duties. Many people were curious about how Prince Andrew was able to afford his lavish lifestyle, which included luxury cars, watches, and even a Swiss chalet. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, had ongoing debt issues, and on multiple occasions, Prince Andrew had provided financial assistance, reportedly from funds connected to Jeffrey Epstein. These financial ties continued to attract public attention, especially as the rest of the monarchy aimed to present a modern, efficient, and financially responsible image. Meanwhile, Prince Andrew's reputation within royal circles and among staff appeared to become increasingly challenging. Over time, reports emerged portraying Prince Andrew as entitled, demanding, and rude, with instances of harsh treatment of palace staff and disregard for protocol. There were also accounts of him causing damage to property, such as forcefully entering closed gates. In addition, there was mention of a peculiar medical condition where he did not sweat, which, when combined with his behavior, contributed to a larger negative perception of him. This behavior was not new and had roots dating back before the major scandals, as he had already earned the nickname the Playboy Prince in the media. Initially, this label was associated with his bachelor lifestyle and travels, but it later took on a more negative connotation, symbolizing recklessness, privilege, and poor judgment. Furthermore, his business initiatives, including Pitch at Palace, faced scrutiny over their operations and connections, leading to further negative attention. Despite Prince Andrew's denial of close involvement, his association with individuals linked to controversial activities continued to raise concerns and attract media scrutiny. Currently, Prince Andrew has retreated from public view at Royal Lodge, having lost his titles and official roles, as the accumulation of controversies over the years has significantly diminished his standing. Despite these circumstances, some have questioned whether the Queen, allowing Prince Andrew to read her, will signal her last act of trust in him, and whether it was appropriate for the royal family to relieve him of his royal duties amidst his numerous controversies. If you found this information valuable, we encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments and consider subscribing to our channel for more content. You may also want to explore the next video displayed on your screen.